if we're gonna go into the Kanye discussion, I really want to kind of break it down in the way that most people break down Kanye, which is, I like his music, but I don't like him as a person, or vice versa. So I want to break the conversation down. We'll start with one or the other, but let's either talk about Kanye, the genius, or Kanye, the musician.
Okay. So what are we gonna get on first exactly?
Let's talk about the human being.
The human being?
I don't like the human being.
So the genius is the human being.
I would say. I'm using genius in air quotes because that's how he calls himself.
It's subjective.
Okay, so any of you guys that haven't listened to his Charlamagne interview?
It's 2 hours long, man. I haven't found the time to listen to it. I'm sorry.
I listened to it twice.
I found the time. I listened to it twice.
Because I always have headphones in at work, so I listen to podcasts. Well, no, because I'm always at my computer, so I just listen to podcasts on my phone.
What you're doing?
So give us the Cole's notes of the Charlamagne interview.
He sounds very normal. Like he sounds almost, I want to say almost logical, because there are some things that he says that are kind of out there, but he doesn't seem like erratic or like anything like that. And then the TMZ thing happened after this, and it's completely like it's a different person than who you see and hear in the interview with Charlamagne.
Even his haircut
He knows
is
the reach of
everything.
TMZ to Charlamagne is different.
Yeah.
Even though we all know who Charlamagne is.
I mean, we're in the hip hop community,
But that's what I'm saying. He's within our reach.
Yes.
So
But
you got to think about the
Charlamagne
global.
interview, though, is that was on Kanye West's channel. He asked Charlamagne to do the interview. He took him out to his ranch.
Oh, okay. Well, that I didn't know.
That was like a Diane Sawyer kind of
one-on-one. But with that being said, TMZ now.
Yeah.
Like we've all heard of TMZ. Everyone knows about TMZ.
Right.
TMZ is like.
You don't have to be in the hip hop community to know TMZ.
It's above beyond Kanye bringing you to his ranch or whatever the fuck. Whatever the Kim Kardashian clan ranch is.
Yep.
Too many K's in that.
Well, but it is. But it is what it is.
I know they literally put K's in
It is what it is. But at the end of the day, the first thing I ever said about this was marketing genius.
Right.
Like
Sure.
that's all it is. Whether I agree with it or not is two different things with some of the stuff that he's saying, because you can kind of like be disrespectful and like you can be a Dennis Rodman, you know what I mean, or you can be a Donald Trump, you know what I mean, and it's two different things. Like Donald Trump is just like obviously going for that whole next level shit. So Kanye said, "Hey, everyone's talking about Trump, so let me join him." Let me join him and jump on that and be Donald Trump because I'm a black man and America's going to go nuts.
But I think it's the opposite, where everyone's hating Donald Trump and he's coming out and saying, you know what, I don't hate Donald Trump.
No, but that's what I'm saying. He's doing it for that reason. He's doing it for that reason because everyone's talking about Trump whether they hate him or love him. Right? So Kanye's saying, okay. So Kanye is saying, okay, whether you hate me or love me, you're going to talk about me. Because I'm going to talk about the ultimate asshole.
Okay.
Donald Trump. I cheated on my wife with my next wife, and I cheated on her with my next wife. Donald Trump.
And I grabbed them by the pussy.
Yeah.
Right.
I just think it's really.
And I
that's
build a
his
wall.
whole thing. I just think it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible. I don't care if you can call him a marketing genius, and I'm not saying he isn't.
No.
You know, and if that's
that's
his
all
way
I
of
give him.
thinking,
I don't give him anything
and if that's his reasoning and that's his whole ploy, plan, everything, then cool. But I just don't. It's not necessary, you know. It's the definition of disappointing and disrespect. It's honestly disrespectful.
I think what's happening is we're witnessing the downfall of him in terms of just him caving into sort of being on the status and star status, and you know some artists can take it in and accept it. I don't know, like it almost feels like we're waiting for him to self-destruct at times. Like it's just, what's going to happen with this guy?
He remains relevant through social media, not through music.
And that's
his music is secondary.
Until June hits.
Yeah, but his music is secondary right now. Social media is first priority.
Right.
So, like, take over social media until the album drops. Right.
Right. Now here's my take.
It's a marketing genius.
On Kanye,
I don't think it's all planned.
On Kanye the human being.
Shut up.
We're not talking about his music. We just want to know about him as a human.
Okay, sure, fair enough. It kind of goes, 1-to-1, but we'll talk about the human being more so. Okay, so Kanye West. I like to call him Contradiction West. Okay, because
Kanye.
basically, yeah, that too. Basically, whatever he says, he'll say it one moment, stand by it, but then completely say something else the next minute. You know what I mean? JayZ. So basically, my thing with Kanye is this. I've always been telling people for the longest time that the moment, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but the moment this man's mother died, a piece of him left as well. Now, mind you, between 2007 to 2010, he still had it intact creatively, okay? But by the time he married Kim Kardashian, you already knew where his mind was. He wanted attention, he wanted the tabloids, he wanted some sort of false notoriety of being another black man to hook up with a Kardashian just so you can get status and ratings. I don't know what the deal with that is, but so be it. But to sacrifice, a piece of you just for the price of fame and what have you, that's where, hold on. That's where he's gone now. And the thing about Kanye, and the reason why I said, that the person and the musician goes hand in hand, is because whatever messages he has said outside of music has always translated into his music. George Bush don't care about black people. Give a black man a chance. Kanye West came out from the get-go as a socially conscious rapper who had a bit of a commercial appeal because of the fact that he appealed to so many different black mediums that we hadn't seen in a long time. I'm a rapper who doesn't talk about gun violence. Cool. I'm obsessed with fashion that involves me having fitted clothing. Cool. I love Nike sneakers, but I'm so cool to talk about it. Cool. But then now you're talking about, I love Donald Trump, make America great again. If you are saying that type of rhetoric outside of your music, then how does that reflect upon you as a musician? And the excuse has always been, yeah, Kanye says all these things, but he makes dope music. Has he really made great music ever since Yeezus? Let's be honest. That music hasn't been great since My Dark Twisted Fantasy. That was his last great album. That's arguably his best album, arguably. Right. And it was a masterpiece.
Songs I only know because they were radio friendly, and when you're in the car, you hear them.
Right. Sure. And my thing with Kanye is this: at the end of the day, you want to talk about, let's love one another. Let's not hate Trump. Everyone's talking about hate this, hate that. Let's love one another. But then you flip the script literally a minute later, and you tell everyone in the TMZ office that you got liposuction because it was all your fault. So hold on. I'm not done. So you're talking about love everyone, but then you don't even show love for yourself. But then at the same time, he's talking about 400 years of slavery was a choice. But at the same time, it was your choice to get that liposuction as well. So again, what are you really talking about? Why are you playing double dutch with your words? This is why I can't take him seriously, because he has no integrity with whatever speech that he spews out. Because we all know that whenever he has some sort of diatribe that he wants to get out via social media, via Charlamagne interview, via anything, we know that he's either doing an album, he's releasing a crappy t-shirt that has bullet holes like Luke Cage, and then he's also selling out some sort of concert. It's all a promotional scam at the end of the day. This is why JayZ doesn't mess with him anymore. And JayZ was in his corner for the longest time. But when he saw the wreck he was going, he's like, listen, I can't mess with you no more. And the only thing I hate more than this whole situation are the people who are blindly following him saying, oh, it's all part of a greater scheme. He's a genius, this and that. He didn't say it properly. He doesn't know how to say things, but some geniuses say this and that or whatever, but he can't articulate properly. Listen, you're 40-something years old. If you don't know how to properly articulate something, especially when you consider the fact that your mother is an educator who homeschools you half the time, then why are we giving this man chances? If this was Tekashi 69 or Lil Peep or any bullshit drug rap with rainbow hair looking like Reading Rainbow, we wouldn't give a shit. We'd be burning this guy. But because it's Kanye West, we want to give him the benefit of the doubt, like we give R. Kelly the benefit of the doubt, like we give Bill Cosby the benefit of the doubt, like we give so many black leaders the benefit of the doubt, despite the fact that they fucked up. Why can't we just say and look at Kanye West, you fucked up, you did wrong, you need to fix your shit? Why are we giving this man an excuse?
Who are you? Isn't that what Van did in the office in the TMZ interview?
Yeah, exactly. Why?
Hold on, I love that because watching that interview, I really didn't think anyone was actually going to say anything to him. I thought they were all going to watch him.
And there was that one stupid black woman who said, yeah, black on black crime does exist, guys. It's a media fucking construct. Yeah. That's another story for another day.
But he stood up, and I didn't know his name before then, but he actually stood up, and it's just like, the first time someone actually spoke back to him, and it's like it looked like it registered in his head for like a brief moment, kind of thing. And he's like, "Oh wow, yeah," and it's just like, but we've seen it where like actual close friends, like John Legend, have reached out to him trying to like talk some common sense into him. And he posts the little screenshot and he's just like, I see what you're saying, but I'm still gonna do my thing. But this guy stood up.
And he disrespected him in that same message as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, but this guy at TMZ stood up and he very short, but he could articulate everything he needed to. He made his point, and it's just like Kanye. It looked like he actually listened. Like he actually let someone talk to him that way. Yeah, he went to go apologize, kind of thing.
Right.
Well, he called him a genius. He's like, geniuses like you
but
don't go through the things that I go through.
I mean, like, he is a musical genius.
You see that bullshit right there? Like, so fucking condescending. Like, it was a backhanded compliment. Genius is like, you don't go through stuff like me. Like, are we really going to take that into consideration and say that he really meant that sincerely? No, he was being arrogant about that, but because it's Kanye West, we give him the...
It was the Kanye whisperer.
Exactly, we gave him the benefit of the doubt in that regard.
You know,
at the end of the day,
and he doesn't go through things that guy goes through.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, like that guy said, you live a certain privileged life that not all people go through. You are part of the 1% now. So all the things that you talked about in your earlier records, like racism, prejudice, everything like that still goes on in the black community today, no matter who you are. We're talking about LeBron James had nigger spray painted on his house, despite the fact that he's a multi-millionaire superstar athlete. At the end of the day, JayZ said it. What, like dark skin, light skin, rich nigga, poor nigga, you're still a nigga. And somehow along the way, Kanye West forgot about that because he now feels validated that he married a Kardashian.
We don't need to keep bringing up the Kardashians because I don't care what you say. Kim has nothing to do with this.
Do not
blame Kim. Do not blame the Kardashians.
I'm not blaming anything on her. I'm not blaming anything on her. I'm just talking about his mentality because he feels like he has this woman on his arm. Amongst other things, he feels validated. That's just one of the things. It's a little piece in the cog at the end of the day.
Kanye had a baby with Kim to forever stay relevant. Because the Kardashians will forever stay.
They're a marketing machine.
Chris has a one.
So how are you guys going to say that? First of all, I would like to point out that the grieving process is real. Do you understand what I'm saying? And until you lose somebody that's close to you, you don't know how you're going to act or react.
No,
so that's
I get that.
Shut the fuck up.
I get that.
All right?
No, I get it.
So the grieving process is real. So for you to sit there and criticize him for losing his mom, and then maybe he did lose a little something up there. The grieving process is real. You know what else is real? Love is real. So for you to sit there and say that he married a Kardashian just to be relevant and to have a baby and all that other bullshit, you can't say that, bro. Because love is real. You don't know who you're going to fall in love with and at what point in time it's going to happen. And furthermore, social media, every one of you motherfuckers in this room right now do things for social media first. So don't sit there and condemn Kanye for being a performance artist. And you guys need to understand that. Kanye is a performance artist, just like Andy Kaufman is a performing artist. Do you understand what I'm saying? And he did all kind of crazy shit, and he always did it in character because he was a performance artist. And man didn't hate on him. You know what happened after he died? They made movies about him. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's what Kanye's saying.
But Kanye's not a performance artist. When
Kanye is a performance artist, and don't get it twisted.
When he's making shoes.
I don't agree with that.
When he's
who did it? Didn't he have an artist do his fucking album cover?
He bowed down to a white Jesus.
He is a performance artist.
He bowed down to a white Jesus on stage.
That's a performance.
It's a performance. That's what I'm saying.
But he's not happy being a performer is what I'm saying.
He is happy being a perperformance artist, and everything that he's doing right now, he is being a performance artist.
So does that mean that we have to like it?
You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. And that's the beautiful.
He's wishing he was light skinned.
You don't have to like it.
I'm sorry.
And that's the beautiful thing about music and art. It's just interpreted differently by people, and you can either choose to like it or not like it. So to attack a person's character, I think is unfair, especially when you don't live in that man's shoes. Another reality is, the reality of a celebrity is fucking difficult. Even a B-list celebrity, man. And none of you guys in this room are B-list or A-list celebrities, so you don't know what they go through. None of you guys had hit records out.
Shut the his reality.
Let me speak.
But he shows his reality, what he thinks is his reality, right? Am I not wrong?
What I'm saying,
right?
What I'm saying, you guys are being extremely unfair, and you guys are reacting off of social media sound bites, and you don't really, in my opinion, and that's the beautiful thing is because we all can have our own opinions.
Exactly.
Right? In my opinion, you're not honestly giving him a fair shot and respect as an actual human being. And the one thing that he preached in that interview, and by the way, the guy who called him on TMZ, I love what he said.
Exactly.
And I feel what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I'm a free thinker as well, and I can appreciate both of their views. Do you understand? I watched the whole interview that Kanye did, and I understood what he was saying and what he was preaching. I also really felt the pain that the homeboy from TMZ expressed, right? Especially being a biracial child and dealing with all this fucking racist bullshit that's going on in society. Okay? I'm an authority on this topic, and I can speak about it because I see both sides of the fence. So I can understand both sides of their points, and I commend both of them for saying what they have to say. But there's one thing that Kanye said that none of you guys can deny in this room, is that love is a positive force responsible for everything good in the world. So if this man is actually trying to preach love and he's trying to get next to the man who's in charge, then you guys have to step back and say, okay, let me see what he's going to do before I judge him.
No.
Right? He's rocking the Make America Great Again. He's being friends with Trump. That's fucking amazing. Because I know Kanye's from the hood. Kanye's from Chicago, man. And no matter how crazy he acts, I think that he has a master plan.
So
let's get hold on. Wait a second. Hold on. You guys all marketing.
I got a question.
You had a whole 10 minutes. No, I put my hand up.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
You had a whole 10 minutes.
Okay,
there is a difference between you saying, okay, Kanye wants to get close to this guy to give him a chance. There's a difference. There's literally people who live in America and be like, you know what? I didn't vote for him. I did not want him there, but I'm going to have to give him a chance because he's what I have for the next 4 years. But there's a difference between giving that person a chance than going around with a Make America Great Again hat. No, but that hat.
It symbolizes so much more.
Wait a second.
That hat is just as violent as a Confederate flag.
No, that's what I'm saying. So if you're gonna say it's just that hat has meaning behind it, okay?
Yep,
so
exactly.
if you're gonna say it's just
like
the
word
hat.
nigger. I'm sorry I cut you off. I shouldn't do that. I know better than that. But it's like the word nigger, right? We use that word to take all the negative connotation away from it, and we use it as like an embracing thing.
Whatever.
It's the same thing, man.
No,
I'm
Kanye's
sorry,
taking
no,
that
it's
Make
not.
America Great Again.
No, it's not. It's marketing, it's promotion, like we've all been saying.
Even if it
marketing
is marketing
genius,
promotion.
but he's insincere about it. That's a
Hold on.
Because you can't flip an idea that started as a marketing idea into another marketing idea. The N word you're talking about was a negative term, and it was flipped into a positive.
And
Right?
it's
Great Again.
And
And
to make America Great Again is apparently a negative thing, and everybody freaks the fuck out because it's like
because America was
white
never
again,
great
right?
to begin with. It was
Why was
built
it
on the
great?
foundation of
Why was it
slavery
great?
and racism. So what was great about it in
Why
the
was it
first
great?
place? Is it great
Why
because
was it
people got the
great?
benefit off the backs of slaves?
Like, think about it though. Think about it. You
Think
guys
your
are
country's great?
upset. You guys are really upset because he wore a hat.
No, okay, but
It's
let's,
what's behind the hat, man.
symbolism.
He can wear a hat. He can wear a hat that says Jordache on it. We don't care. But because that hat symbolizes Trump and the hate that Trump has for people who don't look like him, that's why we're upset. He can wear a hat that says "Go Cavs Go." We don't care. It's the fact that he wore that hat and what that slogan symbolizes and it means. And he's talking
So
about
because of that one thing, you're gonna turn your back on everything else.
It's not
And
that
tell
one
him that
thing.
he only married Kim Kardashian.
It's
to stay relevant.
not
That's
just all
fucked up.
about. It's not just all about that. At the end of the day, his words, all these words about love and all this and whatever.
You haven't done
At the
more
end
for
of the
us?
day, they're also insincere because he's only talking about this because of all marketing and promotion. At the end of the
Who are you
day,
to say
and
you're
he's,
insincere?
look at what he's doing.
This is your interpretation
Because
of
this
his
guy was
art.
signing off Twitter for
That's
a
all
year,
I'm
and
saying,
now he
bro.
wants to talk, and he wants to talk about love and peace and prosperity towards Trump and everything.
Do you know
Where's
how-
all that
do you
towards
know how
Obama?
hard it is
Where is all that
to
towards
admit-
Obama? And Obama was actually the one who's actually trying to fix up things in his native Chicago, in Illinois, while he was a senator, while he was a president, and he never spoke anything about that because of the fact that he called him a jackass at the end of the day. But he wants to give Trump the benefit of the doubt.
This
Come
guy,
on, man.
this guy. I'm not turning my back on you. I'm just checking my levels.
Fine, fair enough.
But listen,
Not bad, I'm just
this,
checking levels.
this man came out and admitted that he had a drug addiction problem. He admitted that he had problems. Do you know how hard that is? But we're ignoring all of that. And it's ironic because if I'm not mistaken, and you can research this for me, but I think this month that we're in right now is National Mental History Month or something like that.
Yeah, it's mental health awareness.
Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're all ignoring the fact that, yeah,
I'm telling
maybe
you,
he
man.
does have a little bit of problems, and he's
told you
admitted
so.
that. He's crying. He went on national TV and said, hey man, I had a fucking drug problem. And you know what? Just because I say I'm a free thinker, and then I say to you, you know what? I recognize that I had a problem because I got liposuction because I was worried about my public image. Don't condemn him for that. He's saying, hey, this is what I did, and I realized it was fucked up. That's what he's saying. And then you want to say, oh, he's being hypocritical. He's not being hypocritical at all, man. He's saying, I love myself. I realize I need to think free. I'm a free thinker. And the things that I've done, I made a mistake on. The same way he went and hugged the guy from TMZ. So you know what I'm saying?
But Kanye has always been the one to go against the grain. That's been him his entire career. And now he's just taking it to a completely different direction because he knows it's going to get people talking at the end of the day.
You know,
that's what it comes down to.
I would agree with you 100% in the sense where, like, he's coming out and he's being vulnerable. But then you take that interview where he's like, I had liposuction because of y'all.
Right.
And he's throwing it at people.
Exactly.
No, he's
projecting.
angry and he's frustrated. And he's just
blaming
letting
other
people know,
people.
you guys have no idea what I go through. That shit is real, bro. Trust me, man. I'm around artists all the time. There's a lot of Canadian artists that I work closely with, and they've told me shit, man. You know? And they're like on the ledge. Because 1 minute you're up here, and the next minute you're nobody.
But the joke is, if it was like some sort of Tekashi 69 character, we wouldn't have this over-amounting pouring sympathy for him.
First of all, Tekashi, another thing I want to say, I'm sorry, I just got to say it, I just got to get this out. First of all, you can't use Tekashi as an example because Tekashi has a long way to go to get to Kanye's level. So there's no comparison. Absolutely none. And second of all, it's also unfair by media, and all of us, for that matter, to judge an artist based on his best piece of work. Everybody wants another Thriller, another Purple Rain, another Pet Sounds. Everybody wants those records because those were incredible pieces of work. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you fall short of that, don't fucking shit on that guy. You can't. You can't shit on Michael Jackson because his next record wasn't as good as Thriller. That's unfair. That's unfair to judge a man from his best piece of work. That's unfair to judge Kanye on his best pieces of work or to other geniuses that we acknowledge as geniuses. He's a creative genius. That's the bottom line. And if he wants to refer to himself as that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because the first thing that they teach you is you have to believe it before you achieve it.
I get
You
it.
understand what I'm saying? So he has to say that he's great because you're not obviously going to do it. You think he's a fucking jackass. So he has to say that. And the more that he says that, people are going to start believing it. And people like me are actually going to stop and take what he's saying for what it is and then make my own opinions on it. Not based on social media sound bites, because all of you guys live for social media. That's why we do this show.
Hey,
Okay, but
wait,
you're
one
talking,
second.
that's a false equivalence. That's a false equivalence.
No.
It's all marketing.
I
I
respect.
still think he said.
Mike's drop.
There's no need to
Mike's
pick that
drop.
up.
It's all marketing.
I respect everything that you said. I do not appreciate you grouping all of us together.
Right. That was a bit
Yeah,
pretentious, to be
seriously.
honest.
It
It was a bit
wasn't all of
pretentious.
us.
The things that he said, I don't necessarily agree with. I work with artists as well, so don't group us all together. We do not all live for social media because I don't have it. So
Facts.
don't group us all.
Can't even
I
tag.
really don't. So don't group us all together and say that we're all disrespecting Kanye and like everything that you said.
The
because
social media
that
praise
is not
and
true.
whatever,
Yeah, and I did not appreciate that.
Yeah. That was a little left field.
Yeah.
I think if
You
Kanye
either
saw
gotta
this
grab him
interview,
by the
he'd be
balls
proud
or
that you're
grab him by
actually
the pussy.
talking about
Right?
Guys, she got something to say. She got something to say. She got something to say.
He is a genius, and there's no one, honestly, on earth who should be able to say that he is not.
Yeah, no one can
he has
disagree with
earned
that.
that. He is a genius. But that doesn't mean that he's allowed to be irresponsible.
Thank
And I think
you.
the way that he's handling this, the way he's going about it, is irresponsible. If you want to wear the Make America Great hat again and turn it into something positive, go about it in a certain way because that hat has meaning behind
Yes.
it. Okay, that literally signifies everything that Trump stands for, and it's not. He is not for people who look like what half of the people in this room. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So it's much bigger than a hat. Okay,
And
so if
to
you
have-
want to do
Sure.
something that big, if he really wants to put that on his back and be a champion for that, you have to do it in a certain way, and he's not doing it right now. So there has to be someone. It's very erratic. He's not making sense. Things are all over the place. It would be a lot more effective if he was very put together in what he was saying.
Right.
There has to be someone on
You
his
can't
team.
put together a genius. though.
Yes, you can.
Oh my
yes, you
God.
can. Okay.
Well, he's not a
No,
genius.
because right now he's just being very
How
reckless.
genius is it of
He's
somebody
being
to say
very
that 400 years
reckless.
of slavery is a choice?
think he's sick, man.
Okay.
Is that a genius statement to make? I think it's a genius statement to make.
I don't think he's well.
And he corrected
What
that.
Audley's saying right now,
I don't think he's well. Like we're talking.
Yeah,
And Chris, you
but if
touched on
that's
it,
the
right?
case, no, but if that's the case,
Things like him marrying Kim Kardashian.
No, and
That's just one aspect of it. That's just
That's a huge aspect.
That's not the pinnacle of it. I'm not trying to make that the pinnacle of my argument. That's just one part of the
has
wheel.
1 through 12, right? Every program has a step. So you can't take the 4th step without taking 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
So if you sat down and said, "Holy shit, I'm a musical genius, and I need to stay relevant. What do? Who's most relevant?" And for you can take it for each period. Marry a Kardashian, irrelevant.
You know what the thing is when things
you
are
told me to shut
contrived.
the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
All right. Fair enough.
You broke DM
Shut
again.
the fuck up.
Fair enough.
Cry.
So cry out. Cry out.
But
Greatest Thursday
seriously,
ever.
no.
Yo, this
seriously.
was so wild
Then, hey,
tonight. Like,
what is
so wild.
everybody talking about? Let's just stay relevant. And that's all he does.
Yeah.
Because when he doesn't release music in between, he's like, what do I got to do? There's nothing wrong with it. It's marketing genius.
I don't think it's like that. No,
projecting. You're
no.
projecting.
No, it's not like that at all.
Because y'all know dudes that fell in love because they needed a home.
But I don't.
Y'all know dudes that said, baby, I love you because
But
I
I think we
needed
need
a
to
couch
take-
to sleep on. Come on now. Come on now. Okay.
I
So
usually
what makes
don't
him
know
different?
anybody like that,
What makes him
but-
different? What makes him different? What makes
different
Kanye
lives.
different from any other hood dude that said, oh shit, I ain't got nowhere to sleep. It's
Well,
getting
because
cold.
he was already Kanye. When
He
met
had
Kim.
places
to
Like,
Right.
I don't think the
But
Kardashians
he was
have.
always using
Anything to
relevance.
do with this? I don't know why we're talking about the
Juju
Kardashians.
there. I'm sure there's some
the
juju.
Kardashians
No.
really
He's
have-
he's like
Yeah.
avoiding it.
It's the sunken place.
Kanye is Kanye, and Kanye will do whatever he wants.
Whatever
You
Kanye
can
wants.
you can
Which is
remove Kim.
marry a
You can
Kardashian,
remove
impregnate a
no.
Kardashian, 'cause
You
listen,
can remove Kim and the entire family from the situation, and he will still be
he looks on
Kanye.
social media and says, who's more popular?
I think
Who's
this
more
will
popular than
It
I?
doesn't matter. That has
Who's
nothing
more
to do
popular than
with
me?
anything.
I'm Kanye. I'm God. Who's more popular than me?
You guys
Oh,
just
I'm
talk really
Kardashian.
loud and think you're making a point, and you're not.
No,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
Being
only thing
loud
more
does not mean you're
popular-
right.
Tell him.
No.
Tell him.
The
Being
only
loud does
thing-
not mean
Oh,
you're
shit,
right.
didn't Kanye
But
say
being
something
right
about
is
yelling?
being right.
Probably.
And the only
But
thing
Kanye
more
yells a lot,
popular,
though, so it shows
the
him.
only thing more popular than Kanye on social media, Google that shit. Google it.
I don't have Wi-Fi
Google it.
connected.
Google that shit. The only thing more popular than Kanye on social media is a Kardashian.
Who cares?
Whether it's
So
Black
that's irrelevant.
China fucking the brother, and she's whack, or whatever.
Okay, we've gone too far.
Okay,
So, it's not
But
about
that's the
the
What I want
reality.
to say is, what I want to
But
say.
that's the reality.
Hold on, hold on,
We
hold on,
are.
hold on,
It's
hold
a
on.
social media driven fucking
You
reality
said that. You
of
said
what's
that.
going on.
You said
and,
that.
And
I
that's
think
all
one
it is.
thing we haven't talked about, and I got flack for this today because I posted about Kanye and
Stay off
I
of
said,
social media.
and I said how fun it was to watch him. What you mentioned is the crux of the matter about the mental health.
I think so.
It's a cry for help.
I think so.
And there's a lot of people that
I think
suffer.
he's caving the pressure. I think he's caving the public pressure.
I don't.
He's trying to be. I think there's an element of trying to be relevant, trying to be, seen as that genius, trying to be
Relevant.
all of that together. I do, the piece about his mother. I think that's real as well in terms of how he's reacting to that. And when we look at the grieving process, I think that's an excellent point. But it's something that we can't. It can't be let's say overshadowed, but it's the opposite of overshadow. We can't do that.
Underestimate.
Underlay.
Underlit.
Whatever. There we go.
He doesn't seem well. And I
No,
think
of
that's
course.
obvious.
well.
And I'm not saying it's like a negative thing.
It's a
He
cry.
doesn't seem well.
So stay
right?
relevant.
It's not to.
It's not
no,
about
I mean,
relevancy.
not-
Put
I
that
think
in the
it's
pocket.
not-
Because I think
It's
a lot
about
of
health.
artists
All about
deal
relevancy.
with stuff like this and maybe not on his level, but it's because he is as big as he is that this is so epic.
Yeah,
The
someone
problem
literally
is-
called this like Kanye is going through his 2007 Britney moment,
Yeah.
right? Like she wasn't well and she was doing erratic things, and this is him
She
doing
shaved her
erratic
head.
things. And I honestly don't think it's not publicity. It's
No.
nothing like that. I don't think he's well right now. But I don't feel like he has people in his corner
that are protecting him. Or
Yeah, exactly. Because he
he's
can
got
have these
Kardashians.
thoughts. No thoughts.
But their motive is what you're
No, but
saying.
he really does.
But like,
It's like I can never finish. I can never finish.
No,
What's
but
the
I'm just
point
saying
of
that's
speaking?
all who's
But
in his
no,
corner.
but when
is
she
the
says in his
Kardashians.
corner,
No one
she
else
means
is.
he doesn't have his close
Right?
family. He doesn't have his friends that he
But that's
grew
what
up
I'm
in
saying.
Chicago.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all he has is the Kardashians.
And maybe they're doing something. Maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe
social
like they're
media
helping,
driven.
but I don't know. They're just. If someone was in his corner, you kind of have to take the phone out of his hand and.
For sure.
Put the phone back. He could say the exact same things, but I just feel like he should be saying them when he's in a stable place, because it just we're the audience. It just doesn't look stable right now.
So I'm gonna say
What I'll
something.
say is-
And that's-
I just want to say one thing. Like,
I'm gonna say one thing.
hold on, because like
After you go.
Kanye is an only child,
Yeah.
correct? As an only child, I can kind of understand where he's coming from in that sense, where it's you your whole life. You've got your mom, sure, but like he's never had that big brother to check him.
Well,
He's never had like
JayZ
that
was
family
in it.
around.
He doesn't even have JayZ.
He called him his big brother, right?
Exactly. He doesn't have JayZ in his corner,
brother
and I
off
think
of
and
graduation.
JayZ and Beyonce, like they're very stable. You know, and I feel like if he still had them in his corner, things would be a lot different. But he even said that not having them, them not coming to the wedding, it hurt his feelings.
and the Charlamagne interview,
yeah.
he said he was like, when I spoke about, I don't remember if it was JayZ or Beyonce, he was like, I didn't feel like he was like talking bad about them because like I was talking like they're my family.
Yeah, exactly,
Like, I
yeah.
support my family.
And it just, I would be okay. It's not that I'd be okay with it, but I think what he's saying now would be taken a lot differently if he was doing it in a stable sort of way. If he was doing it in a, I guess, responsible way. It's erratic. I can't take him seriously, even if I don't agree with what he's saying.
What were you gonna say?
I don't even know now. But the fact that you just said you can't take him seriously, no matter what, that is the basis of everything.
No, I'm not
How
saying I
could-
can't take him seriously because I don't like. I can't take it seriously because he's going about it in such an erratic way.
Exactly though, exactly, and it's all because he's got an album dropping, his own.
I just don't think he's well, and I think it's
No.
really sad.
Well, I'm not saying he's well. He hasn't been well. He hasn't been well for a long time, but he understands what social media will get you, because social media is everything.
I don't
right
think it's
now.
social media because he went on live TV and said George Bush didn't care about black people. Social media wasn't
Yeah, and
nearly
then
as
George
popping
Bush
as it
went
was.
on Twitter and said whatever. So
I know, but
it's the
social
same
media
thing.
wasn't
So
nearly
it
as
doesn't really
popping as it
matter.
was before. This is who he has been. But he's a lot bigger now than he was then.
No, but he
DM, you were gonna say
understands
something?
what
Yeah.
what it
What were you gonna
means
say?
to be
Oh, it's a-
in the groove, what it means to be in the know, in the now, and whatever. And he gets that, because if you're not releasing music, you got to stay relevant.
When you've sold as many records as Kanye has, you don't have to be relevant. Who gives a fuck? Because you're
But-
making so much money off residuals and royalties and his clothing line. You don't have to be in the public eye. You don't have to be relevant.
see, that's the
However, the hunger, that hunger to have that attention is still there. That's a real thing, man. And that's why all these artists, and that's why so many of them die at a young age, because they get caught up in drugs. Let's talk about Prince. What the fuck
Yeah.
happened to Prince? Do you understand what I'm saying? He lost his shit too. But we still love Prince. Why can't we still love Kanye?
Can I just say something
But he
really
didn't do
quickly?
things.
It's not about just to end this whole relevant thing.
It's not
when
about
when it's Kanye, it is not about relevance, because he could stay quiet for 10 years and
And
come
only
out
drop
and
albums.
only drop albums, and we would eat it up. So he does not have to do a single thing, even if he didn't do any of this Twitter nonsense. If he put out one tweet being like, I have 6 albums dropping in June,
But I
we
would
would
eat
be
it up.
ready. We don't need any of this craziness going
But I
on
wouldn't eat
to
it
make
up.
me want to buy a Kanye album. Yes, there are going to be people, like,
you
I
would.
literally saw that when he started tweeting, he went from 18 million followers to 27 million.
Of course.
Because he was doing all this crazy,
'Cause
but
it's
he doesn't
about-
need it.
It's about
He's catching people that
let me
probably
guess,
wouldn't have paid
So hold
attention
on.
to him
You
in the
got
first
David the
place.
Head.
need it, but
Two things I want to say. So piggyback what you just said. So she is right. Like Kanye doesn't have to do all this extra stuff to put out music and still be relevant. And that's the thing that kind of hurts the most, arguably, is the fact that he's put out great albums in the past, and he feels like he has to come to this level in order to be relevant within musically wise, right? And then secondly, and this one's more towards the fans and the fan base and audience and what have you, I just don't like this idea that we have to pretend that his last couple of projects are on par with what he's put out in the past. And I feel like that's the narrative that a lot of the fans like to say, because I've been a fan of him since high school, and I've listened to every album thus far. And you can't tell me beyond a shadow of a doubt that Yeezus and The Life of Pablo are on the same level of a graduation, of a dark twisted fantasy, or even the 808s and heartbreaks, and of course college dropout and late registration. And they're different. They're evolving, and I get it. But at the end of the day, like the quality, whether it's completely different or the same, it's not on the same level. That's all I'm trying to say. And I feel like
but
so
you
much
could
of
have
these
said that
fans,
2 years after 808s.
But
10 years later, we're seeing
because
the impact.
they understand. But like I got it right off the bat. All I'm trying to say is a lot of these fans lack, or just they want to abandon all subjectivity and just believe that Kanye is still as great as he was back then. And I feel like they're latching on to like a lost hope or something like that. Let's just be objective. Let's just call it for what it is. Call a spade a spade. He's been slumping the last 5 years when it comes to his albums in terms of the quality. The sales are always going to be there, but the quality of the albums, Yeezy doesn't even have an album cover, and The Life of Pablo wasn't even mixed and mastered probably when it got released, and it went through 3 title changes. So what are we really talking about? When his first 3 or 4 pieces were imagined, like even let's say even if his last few albums weren't as great as the previous ones. Let's say the previous ones are like 10 out of 10s, but these ones are 8 out of 10. I'm okay with that, that's fine. But these albums have been like 5, 6 out of 10 at best, but people are pretending that they're still 10 out of 10 in classic status. No, let's be objective, because at this time, I almost feel like we're patronizing his art. It's not as great as it used to be. I'm not saying it no, I'm not saying it has to be. Let's just not pretend that it is. That's my beef. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, he's not wrong. I'm like, quality-wise, like I don't like Yeezus and I don't like Life of Pablo, but you can literally see a quality difference.
As much as I regret to say this, you can tell he was raised by a single mom.
No.
That's it. I'm done.
No. That's how you want to end? That's your that's how you want to, that's that?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but at the end of the day, like we all have to come to a realization that like what Kanye is doing, like the rhetoric that he's spewing out, whether he's sick in the head or not, whatever the case may be, it's the wrong kind of rhetoric. You can't put that out to the universe like that because it shows that you're promoting.
Social media.
I know, and that's fine.
I just think it's disheartening.
Exactly, and you have to realize the consequences that come with it. Because at the end of the day, the messages that he's put out outside of music have always reflected within his music, like I mentioned earlier. So when you're saying...
Can we talk about Kanye as the musician now? Human being aside, let's talk about his music.
That's fine, let's talk about his music.
Because that's what he's for, right? Like you're saying, like it's about what the work that he's making.
Right. Like I'm not going to discredit like his work ethic, what have you. Like I'll never do that for any artist regardless, right? Because that's their occupation, that's their job, that's their passion. But I can't lie and say that Yeezus and The Life of Pablo are on par with his past efforts. I've listened to his past efforts before. The amount of time he takes into crafting those beats and producing and engineering and crafting it like an orchestra, the way he engulfs a lot of his featured artists and he puts them in the right place so that they can bring their best out. Like he's taking time to mold and craft it. Whereas these last projects, it's like he wants us to think that it's some sort of avant-garde material, and some people believe it because it's Kanye, because he has a track record for us to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I feel like some people are just afraid to call it for what it is. That's why I appreciated when J. Cole put out that verse on False Prophets, talking about someone that we love for so long, all just to see him crash, but nobody wants to admit it because we feel like we're patronizing him if we do. So I just feel like people need to be objective when it comes to dissecting his music, because it's not as good as it used to be.
People need to be real.
Yes, exactly.
People need to be real.
Like at the end of the day, I'm not saying it has to be as great, but like if it's not as great, then don't lie and say that it is just to make it feel
Those
happy.
two albums, like the last two Yeezus and like Pablo, they have gems on them.
Yeah, they have a few bangers here and there.
Exactly. Like Blood on the Leaves on Yeezus is my favorite thing. I love that. If that entire album was
that was the only bright spot of that album.
It would be amazing, but I don't get that. It's very here and there. You just pick what you want, but as a whole, they're not good.
Yeah, they're inconsistent projects, and let's just call it for what it is.
But that
let's not
doesn't
pretend
mean,
that they're great.
I'm not going to write him off and be like, okay, well, you know, he's just not performing the way he used to. Everyone's allowed to go. There's like ebbs and flows of kind of thing, right? Exactly, and he's evolving, and even if I don't understand it, then that's on me.
I'm just
saying,
let's not pretend he's still at that level of greatness.
No, he is great. You can never take that.
No, he's been great. He's been great. That's one thing I'll admit.
No. He will. Yeah, no, but he will always be great. It doesn't. He can continue to put out Yeezus after Yeezus after Yeezus and still be great.
Through this table?
But I'm still going to check for it every time he comes out with an album. That's what greatness is. I'm not literally going to start ignoring him because the last 2 albums have been subpar in my opinion. But I'm excited for this new album because he's like, I want to see what it's about. You have all this hoopla going on around you. I want to see what it is. He literally tweeted and said that he's been hand chopping beats in the sunken place. I want to know what that sounds like. Like, I'm excited. Like, I'm actually.
Culture, or are we talking about hip hop?
Kanye's hip hop.
I mean, hip hop is pop culture. If you think about it, everything that you see in pop culture has been influenced by hip hop.
TMZ, the ultimate pop culture machine, featured him.
Yeah,
it's like,
and I've never really seen a celebrity on there in that ensemble before.
We're talking about Kanye's
know.
music now.
Right.
I just want to know what everyone thinks. Like, are we talking pop culture?
But Kanye is everything.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, what is he really embracing? Is he embracing pop culture, or is he embracing hip hop culture? Right? No. What is he embracing? You can't embrace both.
it's almost like he's put his back to hip hop and he's like,
Exactly.
pop.
And
No, I kind of disagree with that. I think you can do
I'll
both.
body fucking slam you right now.
You can if you want. Man, we'll turn this into a TLC match. I'm ready for that.
No,
Oh my God, it's almost
because
11:30.
there is no way he
Jesus.
is embracing the hip hop
Listen,
culture.
Kendrick Lamar does that on a regular basis. He still has that credibility as an artist from the hip hop side, but then he can go around and make an album about a Disney Marvel character and make it go #1 on the charts. He's the perfect middle ground to that.
Kanye is,
So my question is this.
You know what? You're not
My
done.
question is this: does hip hop, and I know I don't want to stray aside from Kanye the artist, but does okay, sure, okay. Anyway, so back to my question: does hip hop have to be one monolithic thing? I don't think it has to be that, because at the end of the day, if it's one monolithic thing, like a lot of like these like hardcore traditionalists want it to be, then it doesn't grow, it doesn't evolve.
But the problem, if it's not one monolithic thing, it's
Right.
nothing. It spreads. There's like, according to
But what-
KRS-One and
But,
like,
but what's wrong with that though? What's wrong with it
You're taking a
expanding?
seat.
Because people want to expand, but they want it to don't not change and stay the same. At the end of the day, it goes through evolution. That's the whole point of it. What side of hip hop you decide to lie upon, it's up to you. Like for me, like a lot of the new druggy rap, like Tekashi, whatever, that's not my hip hop. I'll stick to my J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, whatever. For me, it's out of sight, out of mind. That's why I don't really listen to these guys. So whenever someone say, "You hear the new track," I'm like, nah, not really. But you're on radio. Yeah, so like, you know what I mean?
bro, I'd say that's opposite of hip hop. Because if you look at the hip hop of the '90s, you had fucking Black Sheep,
Right.
And you had Redman, and
Right.
you had all these different sounds together. And as a hip hop listener,
Right.
you appreciated all of it.
Right.
You can't pick and choose.
I think you can. I think
that's the culture.
But you see, but the culture sometimes can be dated. It can be very traditionalistic, much in the sense of like a Wakanda, the old guard, the new guard, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you have your right as a human being to choose what's quote unquote side of hip hop you want to lean on. If this is your sound, cool. If that's your sound, cool. And I think when it comes to Kanye West, he's been somewhat of a chameleon within hip hop, but sometimes that may have worked to his detriment, but still has found that way to cross over and still have the street cred or, you know, the representation of the people who love and die for the culture, and at the same time still be a pop culture phenomenon within the same breath. So I will give Kanye that credit because he's been doing that ever since College Dropout.
I just want to touch on your point about Redman and Black Sheep. The difference between that era of music is it was still very much an underground music, right? It wasn't popular yet. But make no mistake about it, street culture dictates pop culture.
100%.
And it's always been that way. So when you say back in the day you had your Black Sheep, you had your Redman, you had Public Enemy fighting the power, you had Bismarck picking boogers.
De La Soul.
We all loved it. We were all on the same vibe and we partied and we enjoyed it and we had fun because it was on the underground. When things started to shift is when we became popular and when it started getting commercial radio play and videos were being broadcast in prime time and it became popular music. So that's the difference between picking and choosing now is because there's music that's manufactured strictly for pop.
Sure.
It's pop music. It's manufactured for that. But when you have an artist like Kanye, who is a creator, he's an actual artist, he creates music, he just does what he does. Whether or not pop culture picks up on it is a totally different thing.
Right.
And they have picked up on it. And pop culture has picked up on, that's why he was on TMZ, because people want to hear from him. And people want to hear the music. So I think before
That's why he had a shoe with Nike. He had a shoe with Adidas.
Exactly.
Like,
And before we say this album was better than this album and he fell off, I don't want to hear anything from Kanye. That's fine. We may have those opinions. We liked his first 2 albums or whatever album we liked. Personally, I love 808 and Heartbreaks. I thought that was a game changer.
I love it.
Boo!
Big
Right?
game changer.
I loved it.
But because his next record wasn't as good, doesn't mean that he's still not a creative genius, in my opinion. In my
But
opinion.
Dark Twisted
after-
came after that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm still gonna,
Exactly,
I'm
ebb and
gonna
flow,
give it,
like,
but I'm
it'll
still
go up
gonna
and
give him
down.
a chance for this new record. Maybe it will be better than his first record. Maybe it won't be, but it's a different body of work.
Right.
And we put celebrities and artists on this fucking pedestal all the time, where we just want it to be go 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 go. You disappointed me. Your movie sucked, or your album sucked. You're a has-been. Nah, man. They can still do it. Like, and urban music and hip hop is like one of the only genres that does that.
Continuous.
Right? Continuously.
Absolutely.
Right? You got Bono, you got Aerosmith, you got all Rolling Stones, you got all these artists who've been doing it from time. And the mans them aren't like, oh, that record's not as good as the last record, so you suck now. No, they're still giving it a chance. And artists develop and they mature and they find new causes and they start planting trees, whereas before they were just burning trees.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have to really give artists that respect to evolve, man. We can't. They're not.
And that's the piece.
They're not a
The
superstar.
evolution of an artist, and sometimes, so when you go from one project to the next, you feel that one because you're with them on that journey.
Exactly.
And then and that journey continues, and you either you jump on board or you get off because you don't like it and you go somewhere else.
Absolutely. And so I can understand why people are saying, oh, it's just a promotional tool. Kanye's just promoting this. He wants to be relevant again. It's because we haven't been really on a journey with him.
Right.
It's kind of like tabloid this, tabloid that. But he's coming out and he's saying, all this time that I haven't been relevant,
Right.
this is where my head's at. And this is what I'm thinking.
right.
I've realized I need to be a independent thinker.
Yeah.
It's all about love. I
brought
need to
us back
spread
on the
love.
journey with him.
Right? He's trying to bring us back on a journey. Absolutely.
And what
man.
happens is
And
the
we need
longer-
to give him that opportunity, man, instead of condemning him and
Right.
saying that you're whack and you only married the Kardashians for this or that.
Right.
All that shit is tabloid, irrelevant shit.
And what happens as an artist, the longer you are in the game, the more difficult it is
Exactly.
to maintain.
To
and
maintain
do that, you
and
know.
to be artistic.
Absolutely.
Because there is a pressure, man.
Absolutely.
There is a pressure to like.
But I don't feel sorry.
pressured. I'm nobody. You understand what I'm saying? But you feel a pressure.
But I don't
The world
feel
is a
sorry for
stage.
them.
You understand what
Honestly,
I'm saying?
honestly though, like they signed up for that. I don't feel sorry for the
Yeah,
surgeon that has to do my heart surgery. That's his job.
I'm not saying feel sorry
Do you know
for
what I
them.
mean?
I'm not saying feel sorry for them.
Just the reality of it.
Exactly.
It's a reality.
Just
There's
understand.
no pity. There's
Right.
no pity in that.
Understand.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying that, we should give him a chance for him to allow us to take us on this journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I find it very difficult for some of us to be on a journey with him when the rhetoric that he's saying on camera right now is very divisive. So how do you expect us to join you on that when you try to push us away all at the same time by saying stuff like 400 years of slavery was a choice, or you're wearing a hat that is associated with somebody who's the equivalent of a
But why?
tyrant?
I just don't know if everyone took that as
No, it
being
just sounds
negative.
like
That's
this
what I
journey
mean.
is not meant for me. I'm
No,
not.
that's what I mean.
Exactly.
I think
I'm-
his journey isn't meant for
Yeah.
us.
For everybody.
Not
But
everyone took it.
as you
such.
said, his Twitter followers went up by
10 million.
exactly.
Wait, up or
so
went
his
down?
journey
No,
went
he
up.
went from
They went
18
down and
million
then-
to 27
so his
million
journey is obviously
in the
for-
time that he started tweeting.
So there are people that want to be on this journey with him. It happens to not be us. We don't necessarily.
what-
Maybe it isn't us, but like his journey is obviously for somebody.
And as journalists, we have to be fair. So why aren't we talking about him saying, you know what? Maybe the way I said it was wrong, and I get that.
But
But hear me out what I was trying to say. But we're not talking about that.
Right.
We're just talking about you did this wrong, bad.
Because every
What?
time he tries to be like, I didn't mean it this way, it's like he'll take one step forward by admitting he didn't articulate himself properly, and then he'll take like 20 steps back by like saying something even worse. So before the TMZ interview came out, you literally, I guess it was just like, I wasn't saying it properly, this is what I'm like thinking, and then you go on TMZ and you say, well, slavery was a choice, that's 400 years. That
He said it a couple times.
Yeah,
It wasn't like
exactly. So
a
it's
thing
just-
that he just thought of.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So it's just like he
It's-
feels
it's-
this.
it's been a belief
he's
in there for a
saying
while.
it.
Yeah.
That's what he actually feels and thinks.
And-
so at that point, it's just like I don't know how much much more I can give you.
Right.
You know, so if you think this way, that's fine. But if you're going to keep saying that, you know, I'm not articulating myself properly, then take the phone out of your hand, put Twitter down, gather yourself together, and come back. I still won't like it, but at least you're doing it in a way where I cannot, you know, dispute. Because right now he's not saying facts. Right. He's literally talking nonsense.
And how exactly?
I'm telling you, man.
And how?
I agree. Maybe he's not well, but all I'm saying is, there's so much more to what we see on the surface, and we all owe it to ourselves to dig a little deeper and be fair to people.
I don't need to dig a little deeper. Kanye needs to dig a little deeper and present himself properly. Exactly. I don't have to put in effort to understand what he's saying.
Right.
Okay? It's not up to me to put in the groundwork to be like, okay, well, he said this, now I have to work extra hard to make sense of your nonsense. Of you supporting someone who does not support someone who looks like me.
Right.
How could you say he doesn't support you though?
Because he just said 400 years of slavery is a choice.
How is he doesn't support you?
But how are we supposed to interpret
that if
we're not saying that?
No, what I'm saying, what I'm saying is that I am not going to work harder to understand or put together what Kanye is trying to say when he hasn't done the job himself. Because what he is saying is that he's trying to support somebody who does not support someone who looks like me.
No, that's not his motivation.
No, but he hasn't done it. That's surface level what we get from it because he hasn't put his words together properly. If there is a bigger meaning behind it, we don't know because Kanye's not saying it.
He hasn't been a big boy and used his words.
Yes. And again, it goes back to art, and that's the beautiful thing about art.
So for right now, we don't need to support him.
We could both go to an art gallery and stare at a picture on the wall, and I'm like, I don't get it, and why would anybody pay that amount for that picture? But you're looking at that same.
What I said earlier about J. Cole in terms of like art that's timeless, but this is a little bit what Kanye's doing and his art, like these are different things. Mm-hmm. The way that he's acting and his art, these are different things.
Yeah.
It's performance art, man. It's performance art.
Well, no, it's not.
Then you're siding with Boogie.
No, it's
he's
not.
doing it for all relevancy and social media then.
No, I'm saying be open to the fact that maybe he's just taking on us a ride and he's just performing. That's all I'm saying. Whether it's right or wrong. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know.
Well, man,
he's taking his consumer on a different type of journey, but like he's also losing a lot of consumers along the way. Because
but his Twitter followers went up.
Yes, but it's not even like he's losing these consumers.
But doesn't that go back to the original point of him using that for marketing? Doesn't that go back to that?
But he's losing his original like people who were on his journey at the beginning that were really, really, truly behind him.
He's switching sides.
Is he though?
Yes.
Yes.
A large
people
number
like Van on TMZ that just straight up were like, you let me down.
We have to have this conversation again when his new record comes out, and we'll see what kind of numbers it does.
But that can be a completely different fan base, so numbers can be very deceiving. Those numbers that he gets could be from a completely different fan base they didn't have before. Numbers don't tell the whole story.
So maybe those 10 million people weren't following him to begin with. Okay,
exactly.
So that's a whole crop of people who are literally trying to see what Kanye is about. So maybe
if you lose 10 million and gain 10 million.
He didn't lose anything. He only gained 10 million. So what I'm saying is that you can't say numbers because it could be those 10 million who really don't know Kanye from college dropout who just want to see what this is about.
Yeah, they're just hopping on the wave.
It's very different because I may not buy that album.
Worked. He gained
so is trolling performance art now? Is trolling performance art now?
So
because
Tekashi would get an Oscar.
The two together. Performance art and trolling. Because Ray's right now is trolling.
Is it?
That's what it sounds like based on how you're categorizing it as performance art.
That song he put out, like
I think that's trolling, man. Let's
that's
categorize one thing as another.
That's a troll
That's a
song.
good comparison.
Yeah.
Trolling and performance art. Because they're doing it for like.
Right, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm trying to talk about when it came to his last two albums. People are saying that it's great even though they know it's not, despite the fact that what he did before was actually great. So now we're just lying on ourselves and saying, oh yeah, it's still as good as this. No, it's not. And they're trying to redefine it as something else. Like Yeezy to me sounds like distorted noise. But a lot of people, because they have this infatuation with Kanye, what he's done for their musical journey, so to speak, they're gonna lie on their tongue and say, yeah, it's avant-garde, it's so different, it's like Basquiat, sonically. It's like, no, it's not, and you know it's not. Don't lie to yourself just because you want that real thing back. Don't do it.
But that also goes back to it's art. Everybody's gonna perceive it differently.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand Yeezy.
Yeah,
I don't either.
It's not for me, but
I feel like it's just people trying to hop on the wave at the end of the day. because there's so much mass marketing behind it, like him debuting his music video in 6 different locations around the world and what have you, and then it comes out and everyone's like, oh my god, this is amazing. He didn't even have an album cover on it.
But he doesn't. I don't think it needs to have an album cover. I don't think that's necessary.
And that's what I'm trying
it
to
could have
say.
not had an album cover and been incredible. I don't need a piece of art, like a picture.
It could have been a bunch of
I think it was cool that it was literally you couldn't see anything. It was a clear. All you saw was a CD.
Right.
That's fine. It just what came on the CD didn't live up to
Yeah,
everything
it was
else.
just the lack of preparation, and that kind of goes back to my original point that I made earlier in the night about how he handcrafted those other albums to perfection and wanted us to get an idea of what the album could be like from the very moment we look at the album cover and then we listen to it. It becomes illuminated. It's almost like reading a comic book and then watch it come to life on the big screen. You know what I mean? You get that full experience, and he went out of his way to do that time and time again, which is why we held him in such high regard, because even though he's a celebrity, he still had artistic integrity. When I see him kind of, going subpar on his albums, I don't dislike the albums because they're bad. I just like the fact that people are still trying to claim that they're as great or even greater than his previous efforts. So don't lie to me and say that this is pizza when it's like vegan, whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean?
But they're not lying to you because like they might actually.
They might feel that. They feel that.
But
I can't take that away from
them.
them.
What ties into this is artist development.
But isn't that what we call a stand though? When they go for back for an artist, no matter how they like.
And they think it's good. It doesn't mean it's not good. It's just like you guys have different views on what good music is and us.
You know what? I think.
But it's just very inconsistent.
A stan is
you know what I
literally
mean?
going to be the ride or die.
Exactly.
They will anything,
Exactly.
right? Whereas I love Kanye.
Right.
This is why
And
I'm
when you're
excited for this new album, and I'll still give it a chance because I want good music.
Right.
But if it's not good, I'm gonna say it's not good.
Right. And when you're trying to tell me that this album is just as good as this album for these core reasons, and how you saw these reasons in that previous album that you listened to, even though they sound completely different and the subject matter is different, and they're just worlds apart, it kind of tells me you have a stand mentality. Because, like, Stephen Wonder could see that it's not the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's just where I stand on it.
I think for me, it also boils down to as a minority, I know how tough it is in society, and I think that we need to support our public minority figures, and Kanye is one of them. Okay.
So is Bill Cosby.
So is Bill Cosby, and we don't have to agree to him. And Bill Cosby also went to trial, right? And was judged by his peers. Kanye hasn't gone to trial
He didn't
yet.
need to, though.
He hasn't committed a crime yet, right? But what Kanye's doing is what Diddy's not doing, what JayZ's not doing, again, what all these other artists aren't doing, and they're getting next to the man who's in charge. What happens, and this is all hypothetical, right? What happens months from now if all of a sudden Congress passes a bill to increase funding to inner city schools?
But
That's not going to happen.
And that won't happen.
It's just not going to happen.
So you would give credit to
The
Kanye
man's
for
trying to
that?
build a wall to separate America from Mexico. He's not gonna care about the people who look like that come from shithole countries.
I don't know, man.
About inner city. Come on.
Working in this music business, I know that I've had to friend up people that I don't like.
No, but
and I like to choke the shit out of.
Right, but
I'm gonna friend them up, right? I'm gonna friend them up to maneuver and finagle what I need to do to benefit my people. Don't ever get it twisted, man. I represent for the hood and the man them.
Okay, and I get that, but at the end of the
Trump
day,
and Kanye are neither. They're
worlds apart.
Neither of them are Mandem.
Oh yeah.
Neither of
No,
them
but what I'm
have
saying,
that. Neither of them roll with the code. Neither of them like.
What I'm saying is that
Trump
if that's,
hangs around people that are cool at the
that's
time.
Kanye's motive, he wants to get close to Trump to, push through change kind of thing, he's going about it in the wrong way.
And maybe he is. All I'm trying to
He's
do,
going
guys, is make everybody look at something different.
He could do
Because
that.
everybody's on
He
the
could do that.
same
No,
tip.
he could pull a Chance the Rapper. Exactly.
$2 million and Chance the Rapper is unsigned. So Kanye really wanted to do this because he's trying to make change. We would have seen a change anyway.
But what Kanye wants to do is get on Twitter and be like, Obama was president for like 8 years and he didn't do a single thing for Chicago.
Which he actually did.
But hold on a second.
said that?
But wait a second. Obama is the president of the United States. If you want something to happen in your state,
Yes,
go to your
the
mayor.
Senate,
Go
the Senate.
do that. But
Yes.
don't look to the president to focus on your specific city.
And that was very true. Very
Your
true.
city. That's not Obama's job.
And that was go to Justin Trudeau to fix up Scarborough.
Exactly.
Seriously.
No, it's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
He won't. He'll be like, who's the MP?
But he's
I don't know.
just tweeting out of his ass now, and he's just literally saying things that have no fact,
no merit.
nothing. Exactly.
And that was a point I kind of want to piggyback on as well, because at the end of the day,
for the president.
But he's not the president.
Out of all this shit that he's done, that guy's done. He's still in power.
So I want to kind of piggyback on the point you made about talking to your Senate and the people within your community. Like
this is final thought, Jerry shit. I'm talking.
Final thought. Okay. So that's part of my final thought.
Okay, cool.
Part of my thought.
Just because it sounds like you have a segue.
No. Like I'll keep it like 1 minute max.
Okay, cool.
So basically, I know, right? So basically, jumping on that point and what have you, Kanye has to make an effort to talk to people within the specific community that he's targeting, because there are plenty of communities that need that kind of help, but it all starts at home and then it grows from there. So if he's really serious about that, he could talk to people in the Illinois Senate about replenishing his communities within that state. If it's just Chicago, fine. Now, kind of wrapping it up on my end at the very least, at the end of the day, Kanye knows how much power he has, not just as a musician, but as a public figure in general. So when he puts out certain rhetoric like 400 years of slavery is a choice, that he has to know that there are going to be consequences with the choice of rhetoric that he uses. It can be very divisive, it can be dangerous, it can even be deadly. So he has to understand that, because there are a lot of people's lives that are at stake that he does not even know, and he's not in those situations. Potentially he may be used to be, but at the end of the day, even though he's not, he has to be conscientious of that. At the end of the day, if he is in fact sick, then sure, the man needs to get help, and I hope he does get help. But at the end of the day, I can't lie to myself and say that at the end of the day, I'm not enjoying what I'm hearing from Kanye, the tactics that he's using, and for people out there to kind of coddle him and say, yeah, your music is still as great as it was 15 years ago. No, let's be honest, let's be objective, let's be critical thinkers about this at the end of the day, because you can only be better with constructive criticism, and we shouldn't be afraid to give that to him just because he's been sat upon this throne of a pedestal for over a decade now. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, and I hope people realize that, and I hope he realizes that. So,
Are you gonna listen to the album?
I'll stream it, see if I like it. If I like it, cool. If I don't, it just further proves my point. Yeah. So that's what it is.
Honestly, what he's doing right now just is irresponsible. How he's going about it, irresponsible. It's hurting a lot of people, even if we didn't agree. Like Chance the Rapper tweeted, not all black people have to be Democrats, but it goes above that. It's not that simple. What he's doing is beyond just not aligning with a certain party. It's values at this point. That hat means something. So I really wish that even if it was more put together, I could say, you know what, I truly don't agree with him. But it's just not done in a way where I can even understand where he's trying to get at. It's all over the place, right? And I just wish it was more put together. That's not going to take away from the fact that once this album drops, I'm going to listen to it, because even if the last 2 albums haven't been or will never touch My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, in my opinion, because that's my album, it doesn't mean I'm not going to give this album a chance. If he said he's been working on it and hand chopping these beats, I want to know what that sounds like. And I'm not going to go into it like hoping it's good. I just want to know what it sounds like. Again, like he said, if it's great, amazing. If it's not, I'm not going to push myself to like it. I'll wait for the next one, because it'll happen. He's too good to just think that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is where he kind of like went off the edge, So
and
he's a genius. I don't know what to say about Kanye. I just wish that this wasn't happening. Because he's been gone for so long that this is what we're talking about now, and it just seems to. It's not that it distracts from the art, but it kind of does.
It totally distracts.
Yeah, because again, all of this is going to make people want to listen to it, which it's going to give him streams. It's going to give him exactly what anyone would want. But I just don't feel like it's coming from like a positive place. Yeah. Those people who are going to stream it aren't really. Again, they're the same people who are looking for him to just self-destruct.
People that love to watch Britney Spears shave her head.
Exactly. Those are the same people. Right? So I just wish that we were talking about Kanye in like a positive light. Even if he's saying that he's doing this because he wants things to be positive, he wants to spread love, he's not going about it in the right way. So, put your words together properly. Hire a team, not to control him, because again, he's a free thinker kind of thing, but you still have to wrangle him in. He is a public figure, all right? So you can't control him. He should be able to say what he wants, but again, you gotta edit. And that's a huge thing. You gotta edit some things down. Because he has power, and he knows he does, but I don't think he's well, so he's just kind of flying off the handle right now. I don't know. I'm just very conflicted about Kanye. A lot of feelings because again, he's important to me. And I just don't like what I'm seeing.
He's important to all
of us. I don't like what he's presenting.
That's why we spent an hour and a half talking about him.
Yeah.
because we give a fuck.
I left a long time ago.
And he's been gone, right? Like he doesn't care as much as we do.
Because I wanted you guys to finish.
No, but like he's very
I've
important.
got lyrics tattooed on my body. I love Kanye West, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Which one?
It's Dream Beautiful and Unusual. So it's like a bonus track on graduation.
Right.
That's I care and I don't know what to say and I can't articulate myself right now just because there's so much to say.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Ironically,
I just wish it was different. That's what I feel. I wish it was different. Even if we didn't agree, I just wish that he was going about it differently so I could be put my foot down and be like, you know what, I don't agree with what he said, but I can't poke holes in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you have your opinion, you said it with fact, you said it like you put it together properly, you packaged it in a way that I'm like, okay, I just have to take what you're saying. But he's doing it in a way that's so messy that I don't even want to bother. So.
Ironically, no one man should have that power.
Chris, what do you say?
I don't know if I have a final thought. I have many thoughts, but I think.
I know, right? You just hopped in.
You just hopped in.
He was just a sound guy.
Well, now.
I'm just a sound
I'm here
guy.
holding the mic.
Audio Chris.
Substitution by my boogie, Chris Jackson.
I agree. Like we need to remember that Kanye is actually a human being, and human beings go through a lot of different emotions and a lot of different things. Right? And don't be part of that team that is waiting for someone to self-destruct and be like, yeah, see, I knew it. I knew he would OD, or I knew this. Like, don't be that guy, man. Just, we're all independent thinkers. And I'm not trying to sound like Kanye at all. This is like shit that I really believe in, is that we're all independent thinkers and don't let social media influence our decisions and all the sound bites. And as my final thought, I would just like to say that me personally, I work backwards. And I think every successful person works backwards, meaning they see the end result and then work backwards from that step, and before you know it, you're at the end result. So therefore, if you've got to go through 5 constituents only for this guy over here to say, yes, I agree, and sign it, I'm already over here at this guy, working on this guy. So then when I work backwards, it's a lot easier because he's already agreed to it. That's all I'm saying about that, man. So maybe he's working backwards. I don't know. It is what it is. Boom.
Wow.
What do you have to say for us?
Wow, you're crazy.
Something that kind of just like a blanket statement. I think something that is really important for Kanye and for any artist is artist development. If he had somebody that had been there with him, he is developing as an artist, but there are things that are happening that I think if he had somebody that was really dedicated to not only developing him as an artist, but developing him as a person, I don't think this would be the outcome of him right now. And I think a lot of artists don't get that, but a lot of artists are geniuses. So shit like this happens. People spiral, you know what I mean? So I think something that is really important for artists in general and for Kanye is just like artist development. Like you need a team, but not a team that's with you because now you're on the come up. You need a team that's really dedicated to just seeing you succeed. Not a team that also wants to be famous. Not a team that's also trying to get close to whoever you're around, but somebody that really is dedicated to you. And I'm not sure if he doesn't have many of his friends from Chicago or any of his those people around him, but I think it would benefit him to have somebody that was really dedicated to that, because then somebody could be like, hey, I don't think you're okay. Right. I think, you know what I mean? Somebody would notice that and be like, I think something's going on with you because I know you.
And that's what I feel like JayZ and
JayZ,
Beyonce
right? I was
were.
gonna say.
You know, something stayed like a rock.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have his mom anymore.
But
He's
it's
an
also
only
hard
child.
because JayZ's also JayZ. So how much time can JayZ really dedicate to making sure Kanye is okay when he's making sure his family and his entire career is also okay?
But they look at each other as family. That's what Kanye mentioned in the interview. So I really think that because it's Kanye, I think JayZ would set aside that time kind of thing. but they're not on the same page anymore.
No.
He doesn't have him in his corner, which I think is a negative side. Because again, he needs someone
That's
stable.
another, to be honest, that's somebody else that he's lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
yeah.
of shit like what he's doing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But
Like,
like-
if Jay's there with him, and then all of a sudden, Ye throws on a red hat,
But
and
if
Jay's
somebody-
like, okay, right?
But
Like,
if somebody were there, I just don't think that this would have been the outcome of what's really like
Right.
going on with him. Yeah.